The Mental Capacity Act is underpinned by 5 important principles. Everything we do for or on behalf of people who may lack capacity to make their own decisions must take these into account. We'll look at them individually over the next few videos, but for now let's see what they are. Don't be put off by the fact that these appear to be obvious and straightforward. In reality, they represent a real change in the way that we deal with vulnerable people, in ways that aren't always obvious at first. The 5 principles are: an assumption of capacity. Help people to decide before stating that they cannot. People have the right to make decisions that may appear to be eccentric or unwise. Everything we do for people who lack the capacity to decide must be in their best interests. And everything we do for people who lack the capacity to decide must be the least restrictive intervention. It's true, of course, that there appears to be nothing earth-shattering about these principles, and in fact there isn't. These have been well-established legal principles for decades. However, as we shall see, the health and social care culture consistently ignored them. The first of the underlying principles is an assumption of capacity. That means we need to begin by assuming that everyone we meet is capable of making this particular decision at this particular time, unless we have reason to suspect otherwise. In other words, that person is most people. This might seem very obvious and reasonable, and in fact it is, but it doesn't sit too well with common practice in a number of care environments. Let's look at an example. Further ago than I care to remember, when I was still a young man, I worked as a care assistant in a learning disabilities residential home. Looking back, I can see a number of problems with the way the home was run, but at the time, having come to a system that was already established, I thought that this was how learning disabilities residential homes were run. I didn't know any better. One of the fundamental mistakes I used to make was around residents' ability to make choices. This mistake covered all sorts of decisions, from what to watch on TV to whether or not to come on group outings to the local swimming pool. The house was set in its own grounds in a beautiful part of Lincolnshire. The lawn and the gardens were stunning. They had a full-time groundsman, and he did an excellent job. Consequently, many of the residents used to enjoy sitting under the tree in the grounds or walking around the landscaped garden. However, this wasn't always possible. You see, along with all the other staff there, I would take it upon myself to stop residents at the door and expect them to explain to me why they were safe to go outside. If I wasn't completely satisfied, then I would prevent them from doing so. This wasn't difficult because the doors were always locked and only the staff had keys. Only if I was happy for them to leave would I let them go outside. The problem was that this is the wrong way around. I emphasise the word let for good reason. You see, it wasn't up to me to let people do anything. We use the word let a great deal in health and social care, but that implies an authority we don't usually have. I can only let a person do something if I have the legal power to prevent them, and usually I don't. It wasn't up to me to let people go outside into their own garden. They went because they had a right to, and unless I had good reason to interfere with that, they didn't need my permission at all. Whenever we're tempted to take control of another person's choices, it's worth asking, who put me in charge? Unless you can demonstrate the person lacks the ability to make this particular decision at this particular time, then no one put you in charge. Even if the person lacks capacity, in which case you may very well be in charge, you still need to ask what's in their best interests. And that doesn't automatically mean doing what's best for the staff or for others. People have the right to occupy their own space, to make their own decisions about what time they go to bed, what they eat, whether enough to involve themselves in activities. They also have the right to disagree with us, to ignore the preferences of family members, just as you have. Your relatives have no right to tell you what to do, assuming you're an adult. And the same is true for your service user with capacity. Who put us in charge? I'm Stuart Sorensen, and you can find me at www.mindthecaretraining.com. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video or found it useful in any way, please feel free to share it around to others who also might find it of value. And if you click on the little character icon in the center of your screen right now, you can also subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it if you did. Thank you for watching.